Introducing this book channel to any new followers that may have come along. The reason this channel was started is to trick me into reading this whole case of literary fiction. But this case is always evolving. Like, it's very different from when we looked at it in the first video. I want it to be somewhat representative of like what mainstream literary fiction is available to a modern person in circulation, with a real diversity of continents and voices. It definitely has an Anglophile leaning, a lot of English and American stuff, but and it leans away from the modern. Many, but not all, centuries of the last millennium are represented. I'd like to change that. I think I'm missing the 1200s and the 1400s. It's like pretty solid, and it's interesting. All the genre stuff has fallen away because I just haven't had room. Like when you make choices, it's kind of like having a little contest. Will this book stay or this book go? Like Sherlock Holmes just lost out to Chinua Achebe. Because I got this great paperback of Things Fall Apart, and there was no room for Sherlock Holmes. And I was thinking, if Agatha Christie's out, then Sherlock Holmes should be out. I had recently read most of that Sherlock Holmes collection with classes teaching, and didn't feel that it really had high literary merit in the same way as like Dostoevsky or something. There is something pulpy about it. It's still good and very influential. If you brought a lens to those Sherlock Holmes stories, like historical, and looked at, like, for instance, Watson's involvement in the Second Afghan War, and colonist acts that would lead to the turmoil that exists today. But Conan Doyle's writing largely made me think of that Tim Heidecker quote. I've known authors that use subtext, and they're all cowards. I suppose the characters are complex. Yeah, I just had to make a choice. It was having two books from an African author, and Africa is really like underrepresented in the collection. In this collection in particular here, this bookcase, which is about 200 books. One incarnation was 189 books. I feel like it's a little more now. There are some big books in the collection. That one's newish. Middlemarch by Ms. So much Sinclair Lewis. Dickens. Boccaccio. This has been an incredibly rewarding project already. I've read Light, Gilgamesh, Housemaid of Dawn, Life of Lazario, Tormes. Oh, and I'm reading Jitterbug Perfume. Take that back out. And I read all these. I thought I was just recording just now, but I wasn't. Read some Paul Zindel, and we'll read some more. Oh, that's also being read. Sometimes I just put the books back in the case when I'm trying to figure out to make sure what I have room for. That Hemingway goes down easy enough. For some reason, I just keep not being eager to read it. I think it was because I lost my place for a bit, and that always is like annoying. This is my currently reading shelf. Also currently should be reading. This is the cuteness shelf. That's what's good. I just met someone cool officially at Petland, an employee there that my daughter and I have run into over and over. She told me that she loves to read and reads 150 books a year. I don't know how anyone can do that. I believe her, but I'm like, I guess I'm an undisciplined reader that's not committed to daily reading, which is ridiculous because I make a video about books every day. I do read every day. Nary a day goes by when I don't read. You can quote that, nary. Hi, Pris. How you doing? Prismo. Named after a great Adventure Time character. I have an amazing memory of when Prismo was a little kitten. She got lost in the house during a blackout, and we were all searching through this pitch black house at night in a blackout, looking for our black kitten, trying to be super careful. And she was literally the last place anyone looked, like in the back corner of a closet. Like, that should be an experimental play. I should write that. Searching for a black kitten in a black house. And it was like this whole family, everybody was over, and like a friend or two was over. All was wild. And we found you. Squirrel is ever the explorer. If I'm reintroducing the channel and people are saying, clicking on this because it's a reintroduction. I make videos like this once in a while because nobody watches the old videos. I never see the numbers climb on any old video. People only watch the most recently posted stuff. But maybe that'll change. Who knows? But if I'm reintroducing the channel, I should reintroduce the cats. This is Baby Squirrel 3000. She's the daughter of the other cat, Prismo. The cats are telepathic and manipulative, and many of the opinions expressed on this channel are actually theirs. I mean, no, they're not. They're not. What's up, kitty? I found those two things on the side of a road at the same time. That photo and that matchbook. 2001, somewhere in the South. I also found that frame in an abandoned house, and I realized there's probably an old photo behind that I could display. Great, now I made it look worse. I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Leave it for now. But, yeah, anyway, it's a channel. It's kind of a freak, weirdo channel. There's probably no reason for it to exist. Sometimes you get facts about the books. Sometimes this nameless, faceless narrator, well, my name's Mike, but faceless narrator expresses this or that opinion. I think about this Judd Apatow quote that he talks about making movies to find out why he needed to make those movies. I think this channel could be that sort of thing. Like, it's insane. But maybe it's about a meeting of pure intellect, take away the corporeal, the bodily, the material. We're just faces. We're Emerson's invisible eye looking out. That's what he described in an essay, wanting to be that kind of an observer. Just an invisible eye. Good old Emerson. But I think story expands us. I think it's part of who we are. If you look at Chovy Cave, as documented by Werner Herzog in his amazing documentary Cave of Forgotten Dreams, 35,000-year-old carvings there, the ancestors of us all. And, whoa, not all, but I mean, of a lot of, yeah, in a way, their culture contributed to the modern world. Everyone that lived a long time ago is the ancestor of us all in that way. But in those cave inscriptions, there's so many interesting things about them. Here's what prehistoric lines look like. No, they didn't have manes. Here's a volcanic eruption that we have documented through geologic ways. But one of the most amazing things is this carving that's half woman, half buffalo. That to me just says they were telling stories. That's awesome. People had tattoos. I mean, that seems literary. Documenting, preserving, detailing, minding. But I mean, story is like in our blood, I feel like fire and good food, good conversation, spending time with nature. I mean, epigenetics, some things are encoded into us. Fear of snakes, for instance. Why would a house cat that's never been outside, never seen a snake, jump at a cucumber? Ditto fire, I think. I don't know. But, I think about that Oliver Wendell Holmes quote that one's mind, once stretched to a new dimension, will never again return to its original size. And I think, if you're a storyteller and you read 200 classic stories, you're going to be expanded and refined as a storyteller. You're going to have a huge perspective. That's why I'm trying to kind of cultivate and make a sort of loose canon here with this. Just something somewhat representative of what's available to a person like myself in this day and age. Sociologists in 100 years could analyze it and say, here's what it reveals. Squirrel loves to come give herself a bath next to wherever I'm filming. Oh no, she's just resting. I also do other things on this channel, like every year I'm going to read one piece every month the same piece. I'm reading The Secret Sheriff from in this book every month. I've read it 3 times now. I've done videos on those and like researching it and doing a deep dive. I want to read all the versions of Gilgamesh I can ever find. What else? I'm going to read all of Dostoevsky. I had already started that project once and went halfway through it, but I'm going to start it over because Dostoevsky's great. He's my fave. That's all Dostoevsky, and that's all Dostoevsky. I've also got a series of videos. It's the longest series on the channel, just literally reviewing and looking at the contents of all the bookcases, section by section. I used to have a collection of 11,000 books, and I culled that down to 3,000 when I last moved from a house into this apartment. So I think everything I've got has some merit, some reason for being in the collection. And if it doesn't, it gets culled and sent to the free boxes of the world, or sometimes the recycling bin. But anyway, I swear I have subbed in that exact classroom. It's so weird, it's on that calendar. I've also subbed in one of the classrooms that Walter White gives his monologue in Breaking Bad, and I memorized part of it so I could say it. Same classroom. My life is strange. One of my artistic philosophies, this is the nonfiction paperback case. Here's the nonfiction paperback overflow. I've often thought of getting rid of this shelf and winnowing that collection down further, but let's just get another case sometime. Put it right here, and it'll be like going through a tunnel of books to get to the bedroom, and I love that. Currently reading, because it's from this case. I'm also writing a fantasy, kind of sci-fi fantasy novel this year. And I'm going to write it during NaNoWriMo, but I'm going to be structuring it out and figuring it out and like planning it out really scrupulously down to the word counts of subsections. And I'll just be so ready to go. Because that's the kind of stuff my older brother writes. And so like, if I ever were to be able to use that connection in any way, it would be writing something in that same genre. My kids are even saying, make all the characters teenagers to broaden the appeal. Maybe I'll make half of them teenagers. I don't know. I could probably write several compelling teenage characters. Neighbor is bellowing. But I guess the coolest thing about following this channel is that if you follow this channel, you're part of a very small niche of hipster know-it-alls. Because there's not that many people, you know? And if there ever is, you can say, I was there back when. But I think I'm going to get a book out of this case in particular. Like, I want to make content every day. One of my artistic philosophies is push past natural stopping points. Like, I think really interesting stuff happens when you do that. And like when I used to write this Twitter feed called New Mexico News, where I would write like faits divers, little 3-line summaries of news stories from all around New Mexico, inspired by Félix Fénelon of 1906 France. When I would do that, I would always challenge myself to keep it fresh and different and like be constantly surprising in how I told things. And you can just set that challenge for yourself as an artist, I think, and do it. Just you have to, refuse to be anything other than like startling to yourself. I think it has to do with saying yes to the ideas. There are conduits that you can just be open to, and maximalism is like a hack to get into it because you can just be effusive. Like saying, yes, you're in what Denver essayist and poet Elisa Gabbard calls open mode, where everything comes to you almost like fortuitously, serendipitously, and everything seems somehow connected to your work and informing of your work. You recognize it all. I think Bob Dylan in the early 1960s is a very good example of that, when he was like, I'll write 10 songs before breakfast. He wasn't lying. If you listen to the Bootleg series, his outtakes are like, the whole careers of lesser talents. I mean, what? Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know why. Like, I don't listen to Bob Dylan more than I used to, but I feel like I've appreciated him more as like a generational talent. I mean, there was that movie this year. It got me thinking about it all again, I guess. Anyway, and that's the other thing with this channel is there's a lot of digression and so on. And some of that I want to work on because on one level it's just indulgent. But as Anne Carson said, every utterance any human ever makes is a little piece of autobiography. So I do think that's something that we get from the YouTube channels we follow. Like, yeah, I definitely have like parasocial relationships with some people. I'm like, Chris from 3C, you're cool, man. It's like a bro that you hang out with and get updates on stuff you also care about a little bit. Or like Chris Stuckman or a bunch of booktubers lately. I've just been like, these are great. It's kind of an avant-garde experiment in anti-cinema, a lot of these channels. Most of them have people in them, but not all of them. I'd be interested to hear about the experience of anyone that's like listened to or watched all of this channel's content. Think about this press conference that the Beatles had, where a reporter asked the Beatles, how do people think of you? You know, what's the public image of you? I think it was John Lennon who quipped, that'd be a better question for you, wouldn't it? Whoa, we got existential there. I love it. A press conference is in this book. Tomorrow Never Knows. That's a good one. This was the art crit section. It still is, but I did videos on it. Also still got books for younger readers. This is going to absolutely kill the channel when I get to this stuff. Same, maybe. I don't know. They're part of literature. You know, if human literature was a Venn diagram, the biggest one would be just everything people have ever written. In a chapter of book 2 of my book, I bring in trash from the street, graffiti, all kinds of stuff. Street signs, brand names. Anyway, that's this channel. It's mainly about reading this whole bookcase because wouldn't it be cool to look at a bookcase and be like, I read all that. It's already starting to feel cool with just that little part over there that I have read. And doing a video for each one helps me keep track of my thoughts so I could like collect like, 100 words or so, 125 words from about each book and then pair it with a visual. And that's like a book, Could be a coffee table book. Could be a documentary, a weird documentary. I mean, Jiro Dreams of Sushi is a movie. My Dinner with Andre is a movie. Lately, I've been thinking I'd like to make like a documentary-style movie like The Cruise, about driving around Albuquerque. Oh yeah, also part of this reintroduction. My name is Mike Smith. I write as Michael Farrell Smith, my full name. I have 2 cats. My life's a little crazy. Oh, and if anyone ever saw like a book on this channel, like, I have to have that book. Sell me that book. Yeah, hit me up. I'm always grinding that grind, hustling that hustle. Same goes for wall art. Not the cats. I will not sell you the cats. Except for like $1 million. That's right, kitties. I'd sell you for $1 million. A cool $1 million. But only to humane owners. I wouldn't sell them to like Cruella de Vil. So in the reboot, she's actually nice. So I don't know. All right. A cool $100,000. I let him go. No, I'm just kidding. Price is still $1 million. Prismo has a low but very sincere purr. Well, your other baby may come to live with us for a little while. Sweet Pea might be coming back if Anodyne stays with us. My daughter might stay at this apartment for a month while she gets ready to be an exchange student. It's so crazy. And then her kitty might need a place. Her cat is Prismo's other baby. This one's sister. Looks nothing like either of them. That's not true. There's a lot of resemblance, but their coloration and fur length are all totally different. I swear Prismo got outside for like an hour. She was pregnant with kids that all had different dads. Oh, that's right. Squirrel's complaining. She did not want to hear that. TMI. You're right. That's your mom. Oh, and I'm on year 15 of working on this giant book about my life, a 2-volume, 60-chapter, multi-form experimental autobiography in which every chapter takes a different form, and the form is dictated by the content. Shadows of Clouds on the Mountains is like a good metaphor for the stories of our lives. Ephemeral, but beautiful, you know, worth noting. You know, shadows of clouds on the mountains. That image just hit me one day driving along Tramway in Albuquerque. I was like, oh, I always love seeing that. I knew I had a title. Before that title, my book was called 300 Pages of Swearing and Disbelief, which is extra funny. And when I used chapters of it for my dissertation for grad school, my teacher, Durwood Ball, said, Professor Durwood Ball, said he thought it was too jokey, and he's right. And it was always kind of a placeholder title anyway, for maybe the very beginning, because 300, more like 4,000 pages of swearing and disbelief. But I did like that title for sounding like both positive and negative. But Shadows of Clouds on the Mountains, that's it. I'm almost done with book 1 of 2. Many great works get split into 2 parts, from Don Quixote to Mouse, so the author doesn't die of starvation and get it out to the world before he's dead, or she. Anyway, I'm going to keep adding to this. This is going to be a Cornelian shadow box style collage. It's going to have elements from every chapter of at least book 1, all over it. The stickers are just covering scratches. I don't think they'll make it into the final design, nor will this cheap biz. But that I love. Anyway, I've been going through the book in groups of chapters, and I've probably got 1 or 2 videos left. So there's those if you want to find them. But mainly this channel is about books, hanging out and talking about books. And it can be as collaborative as you all want it to be, depending on the comment section, you know. I do keep thinking about the person that asked me to talk about Steinbeck, and maybe I'll do a special video on Steinbeck and what's in the collection. It is a cool thing to get an excuse to talk about an author that's good. So why not? I'll do a Steinbeck video sometime soon-ish. It'll probably be a pathetic collection of like 3 books. I don't think I have that many. Does it matter, Chester A. Arthur? My son made this back in the day, Chester A. Arthur. The family renamed it Grizzle and built a holiday around it that the kids were really into for a few years, Grizzlemas. It was like Christmas, but scarier and more random. Dang it, squirrel, you should have kept that pose. That was so cute. Yep. All right, this has been channel reintroduction. Apologies to everybody else, but also it's good for me to keep focused, know the channel has a reason for existing, and somewhat self-aware. Pretty cool. All right, talk to y'all later. See you.